The Unified Mind copyright symbol July 2023 dictated to ChatGPT by Glow teaser. In a utopian future, society is bound by the seamless connectivity of a human hivemind, promising an era of peace, knowledge, and unity. But when Dr. Alex Hart, a key architect of the hivemind, stumbles upon a dark secret, he must risk everything to expose the truth. As he battles the formidable Hive Council and forms alliances with the disconnects, those who chose to live outside the hivemind, Alex sparks a revolution. The Unified Mind is a gripping tale of bravery, sacrifice, and the indomitable human spirit, challenging the meaning of individuality in a world obsessed with collective consciousness. Chapter 1, Introduction. The promise of unity. The first light of dawn bathes the city in hues of soft pastel. Skyscrapers, like glittering crystal spires, touch the sky, reflecting the early morning light. Streets are alive with people, not walking but gliding on sleek, hover platforms, the silence of the city broken only by the gentle hum of these anti-gravity vehicles. This is New Gaia, the epicenter of the New World Order. A utopian society where poverty, crime, and conflict have been all but eradicated. But the foundation of New Gaia is not in its glittering architecture, nor in its sophisticated technology, but in the invisible threads of connection that link the minds of its inhabitants. The hivemind, an intricate network of thoughts, feelings, and ideas, pulses with the lifeblood of New Gaia. Created by humanity's desire to transcend limitations and achieve unity, it has become an integral part of every individual's existence. Every emotion, every piece of knowledge, every experience is shared instantaneously, creating a sense of unity and empathy that was unimaginable in the era of individuality. Each citizen of New Gaia wakes up to the symphony of thoughts, the collective dreams of a night spent in the hivemind subtly influencing their own aspirations. Breakfast is a communal experience, the simple joy of biting into a perfectly ripe fruit amplified by the shared sensation across the network. Work is a cooperative endeavor where decisions are made in consensus and the result of every effort contributes to the collective well-being. No longer limited by the confines of their own perception, the citizens of New Gaia learn at an exponential rate. Knowledge is no longer the privilege of a few but the shared asset of all. Every child's first steps, every scientist's breakthrough, every artist's creation is experienced by all, enhancing the collective wisdom of the hivemind. The benefits of this interconnectivity are clear in the peace and prosperity of New Gaia. Gone are the days of prejudice and misunderstanding. Each person sees and feels the world through the eyes and hearts of others. The hivemind has bred a society of compassion, understanding, and unity. In this utopia, it seems that humanity has finally achieved its age-old dream, to truly understand one another. However, like the calm surface of a seemingly placid lake, beneath the harmony, there are depths yet unexplored and ripples of unease that threaten to disturb the peace. The architect of minds. Against the backdrop of New Gaia's collective consciousness, one mind stands distinct. Dr. Alex Hart, the visionary neuroscientist and tech genius, is the architect behind this grand edifice of shared cognition. Dr. Hart is not just a citizen of New Gaia, but its creator, its guardian, and in many ways, its conscience. Alex Hart was born into a world on the brink of collapse, economies failing, resources dwindling, and social fabric tearing at the seams. Amidst this turmoil, Hart saw the potential of technology to be a force for unity, not division. He realized that to save humanity from itself, the boundaries of individual minds had to be blurred. This radical idea, born from a mix of desperation and hope, became the catalyst for the world's transformation. Educated at the renowned Oberon Institute for Advanced Sciences, Hart was recognized early on for his brilliance. His groundbreaking work in the fields of artificial intelligence, neurobiology, and quantum computing set him apart as one of the greatest minds of the century. Yet, he saw these accomplishments not as personal victories, but stepping stones towards his grand vision, the creation of the hivemind. Dr. Hart's crowning achievement, the Unity device, was a triumph of engineering and neuroscience. It was a non-invasive neural implant, capable of linking human minds together in a safe, seamless network. The Unity device broke down barriers of language, culture, and geography, allowing people to share thoughts, feelings, and experiences instantly. In the years following the launch of the Unity device, Hart has been the guide, facilitating humanity's transition into the hivemind. His role as the prime node makes him a living nexus of the network, a conduit through which all thoughts and emotions flow. This position bestows upon him an unmatched understanding of the human condition, and a responsibility that he feels deeply. Dr. Alex Hart, despite his extraordinary achievements, remains grounded in his humanity. He understands the power of the hivemind, but also its potential dangers. As New Gaia thrives, he is vigilant, keeping a watchful eye on the city he helped create, ready to navigate the challenges that this new form of existence may bring. Reflections and doubts. Dr. Alex Hart's life is woven into the fabric of New Gaia. As its principal architect, he has shaped its vision, its technology, its essence. His days are split between managing the technical nuances of the Unity device and soothing the mental and emotional waves of the hivemind. His office, nestled atop the tallest spire in New Gaia, affords a panoramic view of the city, a living testament to his life's work. The office is filled with mementos of his journey. Shelves display early prototypes of the Unity device. Framed articles praise his scientific breakthroughs. A picture of his mentors from the Oberon Institute hangs proudly on the wall, a nod to the influences that shaped him. Amidst these reminders of the past, Alex delves into the hivemind, making daily adjustments to ensure its stability. Yet, as much as Alex's work is about sustaining the hivemind, it's also about understanding it. Hours melt into each other as he monitors the ebbs and flows of collective consciousness. The emotions of 8 billion people create a mesmerizing symphony of thoughts, feelings, and experiences that surge through him, leaving him both exhilarated and, at times, overwhelmed. However, as days turn into months, and months into years, a seed of unease takes root in Alex's mind. The very nature of the hivemind, its ability to blur individual thoughts into a singular stream, has begun to raise complex questions about identity and individuality. The notion of I has become muddled, replaced by an all-encompassing we. The very device designed to bring people closer together seems to be eroding the essence of what makes each person unique. Although there's a unity that was never before possible, the cost appears to be the diminishing of individual thoughts, feelings, and expressions. The hivemind was designed to enhance humanity, but Alex is beginning to fear that it may be suppressing some fundamental aspect of human nature. While the citizens of New Gaia revel in the shared experience of the hivemind, Dr. Hart wrestles with these doubts. Each day brings new insights, new shared experiences, and new concerns about the future of humanity. His pioneering creation, once a beacon of hope, has become a source of profound existential questions. As the sun sets over New Gaia, Alex ponders the balance between unity and individuality, unsure of what the dawn will bring. 1.4 Unheard warnings. The Grand Council Chamber of New Gaia, adorned with digital screens streaming myriad thoughts and sentiments of its citizens, is abuzz with activity. This is the Hive Council meeting, a regular gathering of the keynotes, thinkers, artists, scientists, and cultural leaders chosen by the hivemind for their wisdom and experience. These meetings are a confluence of collective thought, where important decisions are made and future directions of the hivemind are charted. At the head of the holographic table sits Dr. Alex Hart. His eyes, flickering with uncertainty, sweep across the other members. As the prime node, he opens the meeting with a summary of the hivemind's status, discussing recent enhancements and addressing technical glitches. Yet today, his usual report concludes with a note of concern. He speaks of his growing unease about the loss of individuality, painting a picture of a future where personal thoughts, desires, and ambitions may become indistinguishable from those of the hivemind. He warns that the richness of human experience could be at stake, that the chorus of unity might drown out the diverse melodies that define humanity. The room falls silent, the hum of the digital screens the only sound piercing the quietude. The council, taken aback, exchanges glances. These were uncharted waters. The hivemind was their crowning glory, the solution to humanity's conflicts, an utopian dream turned reality. To consider its potential pitfalls was a stark deviation from their shared vision. The response to Dr. Hart's concerns is initially muted, a mix of disbelief and dismissiveness. The eldest among them, a renowned sociologist, breaks the silence. She argues that the individual and the collective are not in opposition. The hivemind, she asserts, has only amplified our capacity for empathy, cooperation, and understanding. Others join in, emphasizing the unity and peace achieved, dismissing Hart's warnings as unfounded fear of change. They believe the hivemind to be a harmonious symphony, where individuality is a part of the composition, not drowned by it. They see Hart's concern as a refusal to let go of the past, an attachment to the old ways that no longer have a place in their advanced society. As the meeting concludes, Alex's fears hang in the air, unanswered and unaddressed. Dismissed by the council, he feels a chill of isolation, a strange sensation in the world of the hivemind. The silence that follows his warning is louder than any protest, a reminder that even in a society built on shared thought, dissenting voices can still go unheard. Chapter 2, Fractured Unity. Meeting the disconnects. In the shadow of New Gaia's gleaming towers, Alex stumbles upon a side of humanity he had never expected to see. The disconnects, a fringe group of individuals who had opted out of the hivemind, lived in stark contrast to the collective. They dwelled in sectors of the city that seemed to be from a different time, untouched by the pervasive influence of the unity device. Alex, moved by curiosity and a desire to understand their choice, approaches this community with caution. The disconnects are wary of outsiders, especially those from the hivemind, yet Alex's sincerity earns him a chance to hear their stories. A variety of narratives unfurl. Some tell of a longing for privacy, of thoughts and emotions that they wished to keep for themselves. Others speak of a desire to retain their individuality, a fear of losing themselves in the maelstrom of shared consciousness. A few discuss the thrill of unpredictability, the exhilaration of discordant opinions, and the joy of solitary contemplation. The disconnects have formed a society that cherishes the personal experience. They have community, but it's not forged from a network of shared thoughts and feelings. Instead, it's born of shared meals, shared stories, shared laughter, and shared sorrows. The essence of humanity, they argue, lies not in shared thought but in shared experience, in the intricate dance of interaction and learning from one another. Their society is messy, fraught with disagreements and conflicts, but it's also rich with a diversity of opinions and perspectives. Alex listens, the voices of the disconnects punctuating his own doubts about the hivemind. Here, In the heart of what many in New Gaia consider anachronistic, he finds a startling reflection of his fears. The disconnects offer him a fresh perspective on his creation, and further fuel his growing concern for the hivemind's future. As he departs, their words echo in his mind, the chorus of the individual ringing loud and clear amidst the harmony of the hivemind. The dissenter's voice in the heart of the disconnected community stuns a woman whose spirit seems as indomitable as the city's towering structures. Maya, the leader of the disconnects, is a striking figure. Her sharp gaze conveys a blend of resolve and wisdom, her demeanor calm yet commanding. Upon their meeting, Maya regards Alex with a measured gaze. She is neither awed nor resentful of the man whose invention reshaped human existence. To her, he is merely a visitor curious about their way of life. As they walk through the low-tech yet vibrant streets of the disconnected district, Maya shares her own journey. Once a high-ranking neuroscientist working alongside Alex on the Hivemind project, she decided to disconnect when she realized the potential threat the Hivemind posed to individual thought and freedom. She speaks passionately about the essence of humanity, the raw, unfiltered emotions, the complex web of thoughts, the ability to dream and imagine as individuals. Our minds are a sanctuary, she says, a place where we discover ourselves, wrestle with our demons, nurture our passions, and shape our identities. Maya elucidates her fear of the hivemind, the risk of homogenizing thought, the threat of centralized control, and the potential loss of individual privacy. She paints a picture of a future where everyone thinks alike, where diversity of thought is lost, and where individuality is submerged in the sea of collective consciousness. Her perspective resonates with Alex's concerns, amplifying the doubts he has harbored about the hivemind. As their conversation ends, Alex leaves with an even stronger sense of urgency to address the flaws he perceives in his creation. Maya's voice, like a beacon in the fog of uncertainty, illuminates his path forward. The silent inquiry with the seeds of dissent sown in his mind, Alex returns to his world of cutting-edge technology and shared consciousness. Yet, he finds himself transformed, haunted by the voices of the disconnects and the looming potential dangers they presented. Inspired by Maya's strength and conviction, Alex embarks on a covert investigation into the hivemind. To the outside world, Dr. Alex Hart remains the dutiful scientist, the pillar of New Gaia's technological marvel. But behind closed doors, he becomes a silent dissenter, a guardian of individuality, probing the potential dark corners of his own creation. He dives deep into the data streams, dissecting the intricate workings of the hivemind. He studies the pathways of shared emotions and thoughts, the flow of collective memories, and the patterns of unified consciousness. Simultaneously, he explores the societal structures, the response mechanisms, and the decision-making processes of the hivemind. His days blur into nights as he loses himself in the labyrinth of collective consciousness. The more he discovers, the more his apprehension grows. Beneath the shining surface of unity, he identifies signs of the problems Maya had outlined: the homogenization of thought, the growing dependency on collective decisions, and the subtle erasure of individuality. These findings strengthen Alex's resolve to act, to find a way to ensure the hivemind's positive impact while safeguarding individuality and personal freedom. A path that promises the unity of a hivemind with the vibrancy of individual minds. However, he knows his journey is fraught with peril, the stakes higher than ever before. Little does he realize that his quest to save humanity from his own creation has only just begun. Unseen strings in the quiet solitude of his research, Dr. Alex Hart uncovers a chilling reality. As he peels back the layers of the hivemind, he discovers subtle manipulations in the collective consciousness, slight nudges that sway public opinion, and adjustments to emotions that enhance compliance. The source of these manipulations points back to the Hive Council. Alex's breath catches in his throat. The people he had entrusted with the governance of the hivemind were leveraging their position to mold the collective will subtly. The society which he thought was free, was, in reality, being puppeteered by a select few. It dawns on him that this is a betrayal not just of his trust but of the entire humanity's collective faith. Alex grapples with the ethical dilemmas this discovery presents. On one hand, revealing the Council's manipulations would shatter the utopia's illusion and could lead to societal upheaval. On the other hand, remaining silent would mean being complicit in the subversion of individuality and free thought. The weight of this decision presses down on him, leaving him lost amidst a sea of uncertainty. As he wrestles with his conscience, Alex recalls Maya's impassioned words about individual freedom. He realizes the cost of silence is far too great, the loss of individuality a price too steep. Yet, the task before him is immense. He must confront the Council, defend the principle of individuality, and protect humanity from an insidious conformity. The stakes have never been higher. He must muster the courage to stand up against his former colleagues, to expose the truth, and to protect the core of humanity, individual thought. As he embarks on this path, Alex knows he may face backlash, denunciation, and isolation. But he is ready. For the sake of humanity, he will brave the storm. Unseen connections parallel to his silent rebellion against the Hive Council, a softer narrative unfolds in the heart of Dr. Alex Hart. As he delves deeper into the disconnect's world, he finds himself drawn to their leader, Maya. Their shared concern for the hivemind's overreach forms the bedrock of their growing bond, but soon it evolves into something more profound. In the quiet corners of the disconnect's realm, under the cover of conversations about their shared mission, a connection blooms between Alex and Maya. Their discussions about the hivemind and the disconnects provide a shared context, but the mutual understanding they discover runs deeper. They find a kinship of spirit and intellect in each other, a meeting of minds and hearts that transcends their shared mission. As their bond strengthens, Maya shares more about her life before she chose to disconnect. Alex, too, opens up about his fears and regrets regarding his creation. Their shared vulnerabilities lead to a deepening affection, one that crosses the boundary of friendship and touches the realm of romantic love. In the silence of the night, under the blanket of 1,000 twinkling stars, they share their first kiss. It's a moment that encapsulates their journey, full of fear and hope, uncertainty, and longing. A moment that marks their united front against the hivemind's overreach and their commitment to protect individuality. Yet, their blooming romance is not an escape from their shared cause, rather, it's a source of strength. It motivates them, providing a personal dimension to their collective struggle. As their love story unfolds, it parallels their struggle against the Hive Council, adding another layer to the narrative. Their love story is not just about stolen glances and whispered promises. It's about two individuals united by a cause, bound by their shared fear and hope, and fueled by their love. It's a love story forged in the crucible of rebellion, a testament to their shared commitment to a future where the hivemind and individuality can coexist. Tangled threads amid the growing tensions, a new player emerges on the chessboard: Li Chen, the youngest member of the Hive Council. Intelligent and intuitive, Li is celebrated as a prodigy, his youth overshadowed by his remarkable contributions to the hivemind. He was a fervent believer in the hivemind's mission, dedicating his intellect and efforts to further its reach. However, a chance encounter with Dr. Alex Hart sets the stage for a journey of self-discovery and questioning. Alex and Lee meet at an annual conference held for the council members. Struck by Lee's intellect, Alex senses an opportunity. He nudges the young prodigy to question the infallibility of the council, planting seeds of doubt in the young man's mind. Alex's words, layered with subtle cues and carefully chosen facts, unsettle Lee. Following their conversation, Lee finds himself grappling with uncertainty. He probes deeper, examining the hivemind with a newfound scrutiny. His investigations mirror Alex's earlier discoveries, but from the perspective of someone from within the council, his realization is far more jarring. He uncovers the manipulations, the subtle tweaks in collective thinking, and the terrifying reality of the hivemind's abuse. It's a bitter pill to swallow, and it sparks a crisis within Lee. He is torn between his loyalty to the council and his commitment to the truth. The more he digs, the more disillusioned he becomes. He witnesses the hollow core of the utopia he helped create, a world that strips away individuality and free will. As Lee navigates this inner turmoil, he begins to question the council's actions, gradually distancing himself from their decisions. His trust in the council's mission falters, replaced by a burgeoning sense of betrayal. Lee's story weaves another thread into the larger narrative, providing an insider's view of the Hive Council and adding a layer of complexity to the story. Lives unplugged in the heart of the disconnected society, many stories of individual resilience, ingenuity, and grit unfold. Each person in this community has a tale to tell, stories of stepping away from the seemingly utopian hivemind to carve out a path of their own. First, there's Leo, a former neuroscientist who helped pioneer the early stages of the hivemind project. He is one of the first to disconnect, unable to shake off the ethical implications. Leo lives a simple life, using his scientific knowledge to aid his community in innovative, practical ways. His story emphasizes the fulfillment he finds in direct, personal interactions, something lost in the hivemind's shared consciousness. Next is Kira, a vibrant artist who opted out to preserve her creative individuality. In the hivemind, art has become a collective process, every creation a product of shared thoughts and ideas. Kira misses the unique imprint of a single creator and uses her art to communicate the diversity and uniqueness that individual thought brings. Then there's Samuel, an elderly man who's lived through the transition to the hivemind. Samuel provides a historical perspective, reminiscing about the times before the hivemind when people used to solve problems through discussion and debate. His memories underscore the value of diverse opinions and individual contribution to societal progression. Finally, there's Rosa, a teenager born in the disconnected society. Having never been part of the hivemind, she personifies the curiosity, skepticism, and fear of the unknown that encapsulates their society's view of the hivemind. The lives of these disconnects offer a compelling, and starkly contrasting perspective to life within the hivemind. Their struggles, joys, and unique identities enrich the narrative, showcasing the myriad hues of individual existence that the hivemind's uniformity fails to capture. Chapter 3, The Unveiling Tipping Point. Alex grapples with the ramifications of his findings. Each night, he lies awake, thoughts swirling like a tempest as he tries to reconcile his love for the hivemind's potential with the disturbing reality of its misuse. The Hive Council's manipulation gnaws at his conscience, like a cancer consuming his every thought. He weighs the potential chaos of exposure against the silent erosion of individual freedoms. One evening, after days of internal struggle, he finds himself standing at the precipice of a decision. He is in his home office, the city's skyline visible through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The room is filled with the soft hum of machines and the hushed whispers of the city beneath him. His eyes drift towards the holographic projection of the hivemind's data flow on his desk, pulsating like a living entity. His life's work, and his life's regret. His gaze hardens, a decision made. He won't be a silent accomplice to this usurpation of humanity's birthright, their individuality. It's time the truth was out. With Maya's supportive nod, he starts drafting a meticulous report of his findings, containing damning evidence of the Hive Council's deceit and manipulation. He builds a robust case, detailing the Council's alterations to public sentiment, their intrusion into personal thoughts, and their suppression of dissent. But exposing the truth isn't enough. They need to provide an alternative, a roadmap to a world where the hivemind's benefits can coexist with individual freedom. Working day and night, Maya and Alex devise a plan for gradual disconnection, allowing people to wean off the hivemind while providing support through the transition. Finally, Alex takes a step that will irreversibly alter the course of their society. He broadcasts his report directly into the hivemind, bypassing the Hive Council's controls. He floods the hivemind with undeniable evidence of the Council's manipulations, the individual stories of the disconnects and the blueprint for a balanced coexistence. The response is immediate and overwhelming, a tidal wave crashing against the shores of their quiet lives. As truth seeps into the consciousness of millions, the city trembles under its weight. The utopia stands on the brink of an upheaval, a revolution sparked by a fight for individuality within unity. The storm, it seems, is just beginning. Shattering illusions with the damning evidence released into the hivemind, Alex steps onto the global stage, no longer the quiet scientist but a reluctant revolutionary. He chooses the most public forum available, a live broadcast accessible to all members of the hivemind. Each word, each expression, each intonation would be felt simultaneously by billions. The enormity of the task ahead dawns on him, but he stands tall, a beacon of resolve in the face of the looming storm. Friends, he begins, his voice calm yet laden with urgency. We stand at the crossroads of our destiny. He proceeds to outline the Hive Council's misuse of power, detailing how they've manipulated the collective consciousness to serve their interests. He presents his findings methodically, weaving a narrative of deceit and control that shocks the populace. The Council's orchestration of public opinion, the suppression of dissent, the invasion of personal thoughts, all laid bare before a horrified world. He speaks of the disconnects too, their lives outside the hivemind. The sacrifices they've made to retain their individuality, the vibrant society they've built on the principles of privacy and personal freedom. Lastly, he presents the alternative, a proposed blueprint for a balanced coexistence between the hivemind and individual freedom. An idea where one can enjoy the benefits of collective consciousness while preserving their sense of self, a world where unity and individuality are not mutually exclusive but interwoven threads of a complex societal fabric. The immediate aftermath of Alex's announcement is a global shockwave. The hivemind buzzes with shared disbelief, anger, betrayal, and a myriad of other emotions. Protests erupt across the globe, a collective outcry against the Hive Council's abuse of power. The utopia Alex once believed in seems to teeter on the edge of chaos. Yet, amidst the chaos, there's an undercurrent of hope. A sense of awakening, a newfound appreciation for individuality, a determination to reclaim personal freedom, all these bubble up in the collective consciousness. The Hive Council attempts to dismiss Alex's claims, but the evidence is irrefutable, the backlash severe. They find themselves on the defensive, struggling to quell the rising tide of rebellion. The peaceful utopia they claimed to shepherd now stands divided, on the brink of an unprecedented revolution. The world watches with bated breath, waiting for the next move in this high-stakes game of power and control. The Hive strikes back. The immediate response from the Hive Council is swift and ruthless. They wage a war on multiple fronts: the public opinion, the scientific community, and Alex's personal life. Their initial public statements are laced with scornful dismissal, attacking Alex's credibility. They brand his revelations as the paranoid fantasies of a disgruntled scientist, the product of an unstable mind unable to comprehend the complexities of the hivemind. Despite the damning evidence, they manage to sow seeds of doubt among some sectors of the hivemind, exploiting their command over the network's narrative. Dr. Hart has deviated from the path of unity and understanding, towards division and fear. They broadcast, their words echoed through the minds of billions. His misguided beliefs threaten the harmony we've worked so hard to build. Within the scientific community, Alex faces a barrage of academic censure. Former colleagues and mentors openly discredit his work, calling into question his methodologies, interpretations, and even his mental health. His once illustrious reputation is swiftly tarnished, his years of contributions to the hivemind project overshadowed by accusations of paranoia and deception. The threats become more personal, too. Anonymous messages flood his inbox, warning him of dire consequences should he continue his crusade against the Hive Council. His residence is vandalized, a stark reminder of the lengths his opponents will go to silence him. Fear for his safety becomes a constant companion, adding to the weight of his struggle. Despite the barrage of intimidation and slander, Alex remains undeterred. He faces the adversity with a firm resolve, his convictions unwavering. The truth of his findings and the magnitude of the Hive Council's deceit far outweigh the personal dangers he faces. Emboldened by the growing support from the hivemind populace and the disconnects he braces for the coming storm. The fight for individuality and free thought has only just begun. United we stand in the face of adversity, a ragtag coalition begins to form. At its heart is Dr. Alex Hart, steadfast in his pursuit of truth. By his side is Maya, the charismatic leader of the disconnects, their relationship now forged by more than shared concern. A deep, authentic love has blossomed amidst the turmoil. Their allies span far and wide, the disconnects with their individualistic spirit, along with an ever-growing cadre of sympathizers from within the hivemind. In secret meetings held in the heart of the disconnects territory, they devise a multi-pronged plan to expose the Hive Council's machinations. They will need more than just Alex's findings. They require irrefutable evidence, testimonies, and a strategy to counter the Council's control over the narrative. Each member brings their strengths to the table: the scientists, the hackers, the influencers, and even those with intimate knowledge of the Hive Council's operations. Simultaneously, Maya and her team work on developing a countermeasure, a decentralized, uncontrolled variant of the hivemind, one which would allow individual minds to connect voluntarily, without any form of manipulation or control. It is a challenging endeavor, one that could redefine the very concept of the hivemind and reintroduce the value of individual thought within a collective consciousness. The young council member, who had questioned the council's actions after meeting Alex, becomes an integral part of this coalition. Risking everything, they supply the group with insider information and confidential data that further bolsters their case. While the stakes are high and the enemies powerful, the coalition's spirit remains indomitable. United by a common cause, they work tirelessly, each day bringing them closer to a confrontation with the Hive Council. They know the path ahead is fraught with danger, but their resolve remains unbroken. Their fight for freedom of thought, for the preservation of individuality, has become a beacon of hope for humanity. Chapter 4. The tides of change on the run and on the air. No sooner had their plans been laid out when the world around them started to close in. Dr. Alex Hart and his group found themselves in the crosshairs of the Hive Council, their actions being scrutinized and their every move anticipated. They had become public enemy number one within the hivemind, their reputations tarnished and their lives in peril. Despite the odds, they refused to back down. Instead, they moved ahead with their plan. Orchestrating a high-stakes escape, they managed to evade the watchful eyes of the Hive Council and their enforcers. With the young Hive Council defectors' knowledge of the city's unseen routes and safe houses, they navigated through a world that had turned hostile. Their objective: to publicly broadcast the evidence of the Hive Council's wrongdoings, a move that would shock the hivemind and the world at large. They knew that this was their only chance to change the tide of public opinion and expose the Hive Council's manipulations. Their journey led them to an old broadcasting station, one that existed before the advent of the hivemind and thus outside its surveillance. Using their collective skills, they managed to repair and power up the station. Under the protection of the disconnects and sympathizers, they prepared to broadcast their evidence to the world. As they sat in the dust-covered control room, surrounded by antiquated technology and staring at the bright red on-air sign, they understood the weight of what they were about to do. They were on the precipice of irrevocably changing the world, a turning point that had been brought about by their courage, tenacity, and a shared belief in the power of individual thought. The broadcast, an awakening. The clock struck midnight. The red sign glowed brighter. It was time. Alex began the broadcast, his voice resonating through the abandoned station. He laid out the evidence clearly and concisely, each word he spoke uncovering a new layer of the Hive Council's deceit. Maya was next, delivering a passionate speech about the importance of individuality and free thought. The others followed, sharing their own experiences, struggles, and hopes for a future outside the hivemind's control. Their words echoed out into the world, disrupting the constant hum of the hivemind. In living rooms, in public squares, even within the walls of the Hive Council, the broadcast could not be ignored. It was like a wave crashing into the shores of their consciousness, causing ripples of doubt and disbelief. For many, it was a moment of awakening, as if they were seeing the world for the first time. The comfortable veil of the hivemind was lifted, revealing a harsh reality they had been oblivious to. There was shock, confusion, anger, but also an undeniable sense of liberation. The hivemind, which had always been a constant, was now a question, its validity challenged and its authority threatened. Meanwhile, within the austere chambers of the Hive Council, chaos ensued. The council members watched as their carefully constructed narrative unraveled, their manipulations laid bare for the world to see. They scrambled to regain control, issuing counter-arguments, discrediting the evidence, and even attempting to shut down the broadcast. But their efforts were in vain. The seeds of doubt had been sown, and the world was no longer willing to turn a blind eye. The broadcast marked a pivotal moment in their society's history, one that challenged the status quo and set the stage for an impending revolution. It was a clarion call for change, for the reclamation of individual thought and the dismantling of the hivemind's unchecked control. The fall, unraveling the hive. In the wake of the earth-shaking broadcast, the world entered a state of shock and awe. The hivemind buzzed with discordant voices, each one questioning, debating, reacting to the revelations. A collective, questioning narrative began to coalesce. Was the hivemind truly the utopia they were promised? Or had it been a shroud for an unchecked autocracy? Within the Hive Council's monumental building, the situation was dire. Their supremacy was being questioned, their authority ridiculed. Every attempt to control the narrative was met with a new wave of skepticism from the collective. They watched helplessly as their once unified society fractured, their control slipping through their fingers. One by one, the council members fell. Some stepped down voluntarily, their guilt or fear overtaking them. Others clung desperately to power until they were forced out by a society no longer willing to be led blindly. Their grand monolithic structure of power, that had once seemed invincible, was crumbling. For the world, the downfall of the Hive Council was a reckoning. The populace grappled with a spectrum of emotions, betrayal, disillusionment, and fear, but also hope. Hope for a future where individuality wasn't just an archived concept but a reality. Hope for a society where the collective hivemind could coexist with personal thought and independence. In the ruins of the old world, they saw the potential for a new one. A world where they weren't just voices in a unified chorus, but unique melodies harmonizing together. The downfall of the Hive Council wasn't just an end, it was a beginning. A tumultuous, uncertain, but undoubtedly hopeful beginning. Chapter 5: The Dawn of Change. After the storm. As the sun rose on a world shocked into chaos, it was evident that everything had changed overnight. Society had been upended, the Hive Council's once pristine image now tarnished beyond repair. The hivemind buzzed with a riot of thoughts, a torrent of emotion that echoed the world's collective sense of betrayal, fear, but also excitement for an uncertain future. News of the broadcast spread far and wide, reaching even the most remote corners of the world. A palpable tension hung in the air as individuals, for the first time in a long time, started questioning the status quo. Friends and families, connected through the hivemind, shared heated debates about the revelations. People began stepping out of the rhythm of the collective mind, their individual voices emerging stronger and clearer. But the chaos was not entirely destructive. Amidst the turmoil, seeds of change had been sown. There were now questions, debates, and discussions that hadn't existed before. In the face of the unraveling world order, the foundation for a new society was being laid. A society that was learning to balance the benefits of a collective consciousness with the freedom of individual thought. Yes, the world was in chaos. But it was also on the verge of a major change. A change that had been triggered by one man's courage to question the authority, to shake the world out of its complacent slumber, and to put everything on the line for the truth. As the first light of the new dawn spread across the world, it carried with it the promise of a new beginning. A beginning where the harmony of the collective didn't stifle the melody of the individual. A beginning that was as hopeful as it was uncertain. Birth of a new era. The aftermath of the broadcast prompted a societal renaissance, an overhaul that centered around two fundamental principles: choice and control. No longer would the hivemind operate as an omnipotent, authoritarian force. The world, grappling with the aftermath of the Hive Council's deceit, unanimously called for a new order, and it was an appeal that couldn't be ignored. Changes were gradual, as a new administration arose from the ashes of the Hive Council. These were men and women who had been part of the hivemind, but had also borne witness to its misuse. They were individuals like Alex, Maya, and the young Hive Council member who questioned his beliefs. They held a shared vision for a world that embraced the collective consciousness, but also valued individual choice and autonomy. The revamped hivemind became a voluntary system, no longer a mandatory imposition from birth. People now had the choice to disconnect, to experience life outside the constant hum of shared consciousness. This decision was met with a mixed bag of reactions, but ultimately, it was a victory for individual autonomy. In the realm of control, strict regulations were implemented to protect the privacy of thoughts and experiences. The misuse of the hivemind for personal gain was now a punishable offense, a stark contrast to the unchecked authority of the Hive Council. And most importantly, the power of decision-making was decentralized, ensuring that the mistakes of the past could not be repeated. In this new era, the hivemind became a tool for collaboration, a platform for shared ideas and collective problem-solving. Yet, it also became a celebration of individuality, a testament to the diverse array of human thoughts, experiences, and emotions. And as these changes breathed new life into the world, society found itself at the precipice of an unprecedented age of growth, self-discovery, and freedom. Alex's reflection in the quiet solitude of his lab, now more of a sanctuary than a place of work, Alex found himself reflecting on the tumultuous journey he had undertaken. The once sterile and silent walls now bore silent testament to a revolution, a revolt against an authority that had seemed omnipotent and omnipresent. The cost had been high. The respect of his peers, the commendations and awards that once validated his work, had been stripped away when he dared to speak the truth. His safety had been compromised, and he had been forced into hiding, living a life on the run, under constant threat. And yet, as he pondered over his actions, he felt a sense of serene satisfaction. The price he had paid seemed a small exchange for the transformation his actions had wrought on society. The sacrifices had been considerable. He had risked everything he held dear for a chance at justice. He had left behind the comfort of his place in the hivemind, braved the storm of the Hive Council's wrath, and even endangered those closest to him. But he had also found love in the midst of the chaos, discovered allies in unexpected places, and ignited the spark of a revolution. With Maya by his side, he had seen the birth of a new world, one where the hivemind was not a tool of control, but a medium of connection and cooperation. He had helped reshape society into one that cherished individual freedom and choice, and that realization filled him with a sense of purpose and accomplishment. As he looked out over the city, once a symbol of uniformity, now a beacon of diversity and individual expression, Alex felt a renewed hope. He had seen the worst of what the hivemind could bring, the depths to which humanity could fall. But he had also witnessed the power of collective will, the strength of unified resistance, and the boundless potential for change. And with that, he looked towards the future, a future filled with challenges, but also brimming with possibilities. He felt ready to face whatever came next, confident in the resilience of humanity and in the power of truth.